In this video, we're going to take a look at the interesting things that Yuja Panorama's alternative formats can do for math. And I think the most important one for instructors is it can be a really good tool for converting any handwritten math documents that you have into a more accessible format. So what we're going to do is I have an example picture here of some equations because I'm not good at writing up equations myself. So I downloaded this image. I converted it to PDF because that's the only way that Panorama is going to look at this to give us any information about alternative formats. So now I'm going to go back to my Brightspace and I'm in my sandbox to do some testing here. So the first thing I'm going to do is upload that PDF file. I'm going to go to my computer, upload. Here's the PDF of that handwritten math. Go to add, and there it is. Now let's give it a second for Panorama to load. I have my alternative formats symbol here. It's going to take a second to process, but I'm pretty sure this is a very inaccessible PDF, being that it's basically just an image. However, there are some good tools in here so that we can convert it into some accessible math equations. I'm going to go ahead and go down here to math formats, and we're going to test all three of these: LaTeX, the math text, and math audio. And yes, as I thought, this PDF is only 19% accessible, which means it is not. Let's start with the LaTeX. And again, it's going to take a little bit for it to create these. So I went ahead and started the processing for these other two. Let's go ahead and start with the LaTeX. And it's going to download as a tex file. If you have a LaTeX editor, that's great. If you don't, it's also fine. So in case you don't have a LaTeX editor, all we have to do is just right click and you can open it in Notepad if you're on a PC, or I'm just going to open it in TextEdit on my Mac. And then there's the LaTeX. I went ahead and just put these in already, but I'm also going to show you how you can put them in Brightspace. It kind of looks like a bunch of random code, but I can tell this little slash here is when the equation begins, and these two little dashes here mean it's on a different line. So I'm just going to copy from here to here. I'm going to Control C, exit out of here. Let's go back to our sandbox, and I'm just going to make a new page. Create a file, and go to the LaTeX equation editor and then paste it in and see how it looks. And again, don't forget it's centered here. If you want it left aligned, we gotta put these little arms up in the air, another arm and in the parentheses, and then it should be left aligned. So I'm going to insert that. And is that the same as our handwritten equation? Let me go back to where I did all three of them. And do they look the same? Does that work? Are they correct? I don't know. I don't know anything about math. We can see how it's read aloud in ReadSpeaker.
Fraction x cubed minus y squared, divided by square root of 2. equals 2 square root of fraction, parenthesis, x to the power of a minus y to the power of b, and parenthesis, 3z plus 2x minus y cubed, and parenthesis, divided by a cubed plus b squared. Square root of fraction a to the power of x plus fraction 1 divided by 2 b to the power of x divided by y squared. Dot operator, fraction z cubed divided by a to the power of y equals fraction, parenthesis, a squared plus b squared plus x squared plus y squared, and parenthesis, x cubed minus b cubed, and parenthesis, divided by square root of 3x minus 2y cubed minus z squared. Cube root of...
Okay, we're going to stop there. I think mostly I followed. It did say something about dot operator here, which I know has been kind of an issue. So let's go back to the other two things that we wanted to look at. And that is the text and audio for that PDF. I'm going to go back and open that PDF. We have our alternative formats. We'll go back to math formats and let's take a look at the math text. I'm going to go to view, and that gives me kind of like the readout for how it would be pronounced. I'll make it a little bit bigger if that helps, and I'll let you take a look at this. Now, let's go back to the math audio, and I will also put it side by side with the image so that you can see how it's being read aloud. All right, here we go.
Start math, 3 lines. Line 1, blank the fraction with numerator x cubed minus y squared and denominator the square root of 2 equals 2 the square root of the fraction with numerator open paren x to the ath power minus y to the bth power close paren times open paren 3z plus 2x minus y cubed close paren and denominator a cubed plus b squared. Line 2, blank the square root of the fraction with numerator a to the xth power plus 1/2 b to the xth power and denominator y squared times the fraction with numerator z cubed, and denominator a to the yth power equals the fraction with numerator open paren a squared plus b squared plus x squared plus y squared close paren times open paren x cubed minus b cubed close paren and denominator the square root of 3x minus 2 years cubed minus z squared. Line 3. Blank the cube root of the fraction with numerator open paren 2xy close paren squared times open paren 3ab plus 3x close paren cubed and denominator x cubed y squared equals the fraction with numerator 5x squared plus 3 years squared minus a cubed minus b cubed and denominator z squared a squared b squared. End math.
So I have a feeling there were some problems there. I heard something about 2 year cubed and 3 years squared. I think that's the 2y and the 3y. So as you can see, it's not perfect reading the handwriting. So the best thing to do is not have handwritten equations. If you're going to do this, please use that LaTeX converter and convert it to some better accessible digital math.